Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Squared Circle Jerks podcast. I am Mike, and he is Byron.
Nope, wrong.
It is late in the evening, so I'm a little bit lackluster on the energy point of view, but we're here to review NXT and Impact Wrestling from the week that has come and gone, and to give our thoughts on it. And there was some good, there was some not so good. And shall we kick it off, Byron, or do you have something you want to discuss?
Not tons to discuss. I also watched Fastlane.
Oh yes, give us the rundown of Fastlane. I did not watch.
Rundown on Fastlane was we'll just go match by match here down the Wikipedia page. So they opened up with all three of the New Day were going to come down to the ring, and then somebody, I can't remember who, basically came up to Kofi and said, no, the McMahons want to talk to you like right now about the main event. So everybody's excited, and then Big E and Xavier Woods went down. They had a match against Rusev and Nakamura that was fine. There was nothing really wrong with it. And then after that, we had the Usos beat the Miz McMahon Bronection. And
I like that name.
It was, again, kind of an Usos match where they did things that they always do, and you've seen them do it before. It was nothing new. And same thing with The Miz, same thing with Shane. The only really weird part was at one point, Miz and one of the Usos was down in the ring, and then both Shane and the other Uso climbed the turnbuckle on opposite sides of the ring, and Uso number 2 or number 1, depending on your point of view, went for the big old frog splash or something off the top rope, and Shane McMahon did an Van Terminator Interceptor and kicked him right in the dick. I'm pretty sure right in the dick. And then they both fell to the ground very heavily. So that was maybe the spot of the night, really, which is Shane McMahon standard. And then after the Miz got beat in the middle of the ring, and Mrs. Dad was there, and everybody kept talking about Mrs. Dad over and over and over and over and over, and making sure you knew
he's kind of a big deal in there.
They got to make sure that everybody's got to know that this is Mrs. Hometown and Mrs. Dad is here, and you know what happens then, and then it happened because they can't book any other way. And then they hugged it out, and they went and hugged Mrs. Dad and stuff, and then McMahon beat the living shit out of the Miz. He's pretty infamous for throwing the potatoes. I'm pretty sure there was some potatoes going on there.
There may or may not have been some spuds.
Yeah, and then he went over and harassed Mrs. Dad and grabbed him by the face and shook him around and stuff, and then went back and beat up Miz some more. And he spun him around into a topside reverse triangle, so he was able to, and kind of an armbar situation a little bit. So it was kind of a loose triangle. You would have hated it, but I think the idea and the positioning is good because he basically got to do that move while talking shit to Mrs. Dad while he's doing it. And the other hokey bullshit thing was they had about 6 plants around Mrs. Dad the entire match, and they were the most vocally enthusiastic people known to mankind, and no one else cared. The whole crowd was dead other than those 6 people.
It's going to be theoretical that they may have been related to the Miz's as opposed to being plants.
No, they were not. They were not related. These were plants. You'll have to trust me on that one, due to various ethnicities. I mean, hey, anything's possible.
I see.
But I'm gonna guess not related to the Miz. And so that was the beatdown was pretty cool, and I liked the maneuver because, like I said, you get to do the submission hold armbar combo while talking shit and potentially smacking the crap out of somebody with your free hand if you want to. So that was cool. I guess I'll wake up tomorrow and have Wrestle Talk's video explain, and they'll tell me why or what his explanation was, and I won't care. Asuka beat Mandy Rose, but not in the way that you want, because they decided to have a competitive matchup with their champion against somebody who's never had a push in her whole career.
Well, I mean, that whole match really sums up why I want them to go to one women's belt.
Yeah.
ASAP, because there is nothing for Asuka to do right now well, you have Becky, Charlotte. It's the other reason I don't like Charlotte being in the 3-way. Which is where we're headed.
You clearly need to do Asuka Charlotte too at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that would have been how I would have gone with that. I would have gone with two high-profile women's singles matches.
Yeah, I mean, that's clearly the way to get the job done, and they're not doing it. Fucking idiots. And so we come back to behind the scenes, and Kofi's been outside the McMahon's office for over an hour, which is accurate at this point. And the New Day basically show up and barge into McMahon's office, and this begins the dumbest fucking hokey back and forth thing where I don't think McMahon read his own script that he also probably didn't write, and probably just told them to say things and then didn't expect them to say the things that he said, even though he said to do it. That's probably how bad his brains got at this point. And so Big E basically bullies McMahon into, this is Vince McMahon, by the way, basically bullies him into putting him into the, making the main event a 3-way dance. Spoiler alert, that didn't happen, and also the main event wasn't the main event. So, there you go.
Just to quickly touch on something, I do find this kind of everything that WWE is in this storyline. Vince McMahon inserts himself into the title picture not as a wrestler, but as a meddling power figure.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, they about a month and a half ago, they went on public record in the ring saying no more authority figures, no more instant rematches, and so all they do now is authority figures and instant rematches.
Yeah, and he inserts a man who assaulted him, and was arrested for it, and headbutted him and concussed him into the title picture.
Yeah.
Nothing about this works.
Nothing at all. So, but McMahon does say, "Oh, okay, yep, you betcha. I'll put you. It'll be a 3-person match, and it's starting now." And so Kofi hustles his ass down to the ring, and then gets the shit kicked out of him by the bar for a very, very long 5 minutes. Very, very, very. Oh, and he banned Big E and Xavier Woods from ringside, which is why it took so fucking long. Kofi got about, I don't know, 5 seconds of offense in, and it's like 5 1/4 minutes. Eventually, Big E and Xavier Woods come down. They're overselling injuries they don't have from the match previously, and they get wiped out by, I think it was the mid-card of Doom? I don't remember. Oh, no, it was Shinsuke and Rusev.
That's who it was. Sense, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was the mid-card of Doom for no reason, which would make just as much sense. So Rusev and Nakamura wipe him out from behind, and then they just beat the shit out of Kofi relentlessly. And then we move on to the Revival versus Aleister Black and Ricochet and Gable and Rude. This was a pretty good match. I enjoyed it, because Aleister Black got to do things and Ricochet got to do things. Gable and Rude are very competent. Gable is more than competent. And the Revival are an excellent tag team. So, I mean, it was pretty good. I would give it, if I was to give it a rating out of 10, I would definitely give it a solid 7. We had a 4-way dance. Oh, yeah, so they were supposed to have Andrade, no middle name, no last name, against Rey Mysterio on the kickoff show, but they decided not to do that. They rolled it all into this U.S. title match, Joe versus Andrade versus R-Truth versus Rey Mysterio. This was okay. There were some spots, but they weren't spots that they were just spots that I've already seen.
I also enjoy that R-Truth gets the title during Black History Month. Black History Month is over. Title belt off of him. Oh no, that had nothing to do with it. Nothing at all.
No. Well, apparently R-Truth and Vince McMahon are really good friends. I don't know why.
It doesn't really honestly surprise me.
Yeah, so, yeah. One thing I forgot, the Mandy Rose Asuka match, the reason why Asuka didn't get the win like he wanted is because Sonya Deville basically fucked everything up for Mandy Rose. There was this one really stupid spot where they were hitting the ropes, and Sonya Deville goes over to the ring apron and lifts it up, and for an extended period of time, she was just looking under the ring apron with the ring apron up, holding it up with her hand. No explanation. Inexplicable. And then later on the match, the finish was that she again went over to the ring apron, and then this time she threw it up onto the edge of the ring to look underneath the ring again and grabbed a kendo stick, and then Mandy Rose hit the ropes, slipped on the apron because it was right there, and then Asuka just pounced and fucked her up. And then Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville walked off, not happy. Mandy Rose refused to shake hands or accept help. So now that they've got women's tag team titles, they've broken up a tag team, tag team.
They broke it up, frankly, the second best tag team they have.
Yeah. So sorry, I meant to mention that. But the 4-way dance for the United States Championship, it was just not quite 11 minutes. Wasn't enough time for these people to do a match. You've got 4 people. It's not enough time, you bunch of fucking morons. And interspersed throughout the night, you got 3, count them, 1, 2, 3 Elias segments for no reason. And I don't even remember where they appeared, and which doesn't matter at all. You got... What else was there? Oh, Joe won the match. It was fine, and like I said, there were spots, but I've seen all these people do all those spots before.
I'm just happy to see Joe with a belt.
Yeah, that's true. We got the Boston Hug Connection, which honestly should be the Thug and Hug Connection because it rhymes and it's marketable.
That's not the goal here, sir. We're getting over catchphrases, and
it's time to not make money.
Boss. I'm the boss.
Yeah, apparently. So they defeated the Samoan Sister Machine. I don't remember a thing about this match. I think there might have been some interference, but maybe not. I don't have a clue. It's entirely forgettable. We had your boy Kevin Owings versus your boy Dagnall Bryan versus Mustafa Ali, which, quite frankly, was pretty good. They gave him enough time. They gave him almost 20 minutes worth of time to have a match, and the 3 of them did very good things. I would, again, I'd probably give it 7.5 out of 10. It was definitely the best match on the card. Very enjoyable. We had the Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. Long story short, Ronda Rousey comes down and I can't remember if she punched Becky or did something to Becky or maybe just pushed Becky over or pinched her on the... I don't remember. Might have just been a pinch on the cheek. Not a clue. Anyway, I liked the finish because the match was shit. Because Becky had to oversell this injury she doesn't have. And then would, mysteriously not sell when she needed to do some action of her own. So, the match was shit. The finish was really good because everybody had really good timing, and there was a really good kind of snide look on Ronda's face when she's like, "Ha-ha, bitch." But the thing they should have done was give her a mic and instantly just go, "I want you both at WrestleMania, fuck you," and throw the mic down. Did something like that. Should have been done.
I'm slightly interested to know if anyone is enjoying the whole Ronda Rousey calling wrestling fake thing that's going on.
No one is. And it never makes money.
And Triple H doing basically the same thing with his feud with Mr. Dave Bautista.
Yeah, no, this is going to be the worst WrestleMania since last WrestleMania.
Yeah, I've never gotten the whole using fakeness to get a heel over or to add
it doesn't work.
To the feud.
It never works.
I'm curious to know why anyone thinks it would though. Like, what is the theoretical outcome? Because okay,
I don't know.
You rile up the hardcores who.
That's got to be it. That's the only angle, is to rile up actual wrestling fans to hate somebody. The problem is that we just dislike you. We just we don't hate the heel. We hate the company for making the heel do it.
Well, it's also with Ronda, I kind of wonder if that's maybe a little bit of a shoot.
Yeah, the speculation is that she's basically worked herself into a shoot.
Yeah. But okay, you rile up the hardcore fans. Whatever, they were going to buy the product anyways. They're buying WrestleMania. You don't need to rile them up to get them to buy it.
Yeah, good job calling your fans idiots.
And the casual fans are not going to give a flying fuck.
Nope.
So they're not going to buy it if they weren't, again, already going to buy it. So you've created zero buys. You've created bad will for the company. And this is not me going, oh, wrestling is real. No. This would be like if you were watching Game of Thrones and randomly Jon Snow was like, this is not Jon Snow, the character. This is Kit Harington, the actor, telling you. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add anything. It just makes everything else seem, dare I say, faker by comparison, and thus less interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the only play there is to, like I said, make the hardcore fans angry at a character. The problem is, it just makes us angry at the company. Therefore, you've insulted your fans. You've basically told your fans that they're fucking morons for watching your fake-ass product. Fuck you. And you gain nothing. Like you said, the casual people aren't going to care more or less than they did. The hardcore fans hate your company now, and you don't make money. That's the end of the story.
I mean, you make money because a lot of those
you don't make any more money than you would have already made.
That's what I mean. Your net result is zero. You are not increasing the buy count.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It never makes money, no matter how many times they do it. They tried this. They keep, who is it? Wrestle Talk have brought it up a couple times where Bam Bam Bigelow versus LT, which was a fucking shit show. What a dumb fucking thing to do.
I mean,
they had Bam Bam Bigelow going around telling everybody that wrestling was fake, but when it comes to WrestleMania and him and LT, he's going to beat the shit out of him for real this time. And it didn't work. It didn't make money then. Nobody gave a shit. It didn't increase sales. The match was fucking garbage. Nobody got beat up.
Let's be honest here. The match when it's a celebrity is always garbage. I mean, that was...
The only exception is Stephen Amell.
Yeah, the only exception is Stephen Amell. And that's because dude's a fucking parkour guy, which the translation from parkour actor to pro wrestler, it's about as close as anything you're going to find. Except, I guess MMA fighter would be...
And he's got, he's got great trainers, so... But yeah, it's just, it doesn't work. It never works. They've tried it so many times, and it never fucking flies. Which leads us to our main event, which was also garbage. You got Baron Corbin, Lashley, and Drew McIntyre against The Shield. The Shield were The Shield, and the mid-card of Doom were fucking garbage. They got their big lumps to get knocked around. Nothing really happened. You had a bunch of rest holds out of Corbin. Bobby Lashley did one power move. Drew McIntyre did a jumpy move. You know, it's the but then they just got knocked around a shitload of times. They got triple power bombed. It was fucking a solid 3.5 out of 10. Nobody botched anything, but it was boring as fuck.
I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll see if more people watch because of the Shield reunion or not, but I doubt it.
Well, they're not. That was it. That was the only Shield match you're gonna get theoretically. They on Raw. They theoretically, allegedly. I'm gonna take the Squirrely Dan approach. They allegedly wrote Dean Ambrose off TV because he had a street fight against, or Falls Count Anywhere against, I think it was Drew McIntyre. And Drew McIntyre basically beat the absolute shit out of him across the whole place, and then left him in a heap in a stairwell somewhere, like after wrapping 90 chairs around each limb and using Magneto Force powers to twist him into... I have no idea. I don't care. Didn't watch. But theoretically, unless this is a giant work for the Raw after WrestleMania, not even WrestleMania, if they're smart enough to save this to the Raw after WrestleMania, then I guess. But still, the sign on the wall says Dean leaving in April. When in April, I don't know. So that's the end. That was Fastlane Baby, which I guess that's what they're calling it now. because all of their promo posters and stuff say Fastlane Baby on it, I guess. I don't fucking know.
I mean, at least it's not Great Balls of Fire.
Correct. Apparently that's still not coming back. They did it, what was that, 3 years ago now?
I do believe it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, so, and then last year they didn't bring it back, and this year apparently they're not bringing it back either.
Good call.
There is a one particular match signed for TakeOver New York, which you might be interested in, maybe.
Okay.
There's this guy named Pete Dunne against this other guy named Walter.
Little surprised they're doing that on a TakeOver US show.
Yeah, well, if you want to catch eyes and bring them back to the UK, there's a way to do it.
Fair enough.
Please give these boys 25 minutes to work their shit out in the ring, because I want to see it.
Mm-hmm. I'm down with that. Definitely down with that. Let us move on to NXT then.
No, okay.
Because we kind of segued into that anyways. The March 6th show starts off with a Dusty Rhodes tag team, promo, just reminding you who everybody is, that they're in the tournament, so on. It's a good idea. It refreshes everybody. And we opened up with I have it written down as Ricochet and Blank versus Bartel and Eichner. Ricochet and Black versus Bartel and Eichner. And this was a pretty damn impressive match because
I believe we've decided to refer to them as Black O'Shea.
Black O'Shea, yes. My only real problem here is that they're calling Bartel and Eichner the EU. I'm just...
Yeah, well, I would be more in favor of it if it was. I would be more in favor of it if it was just the EU. It's short. It's kind of got a crispness to it. It's fine, but they don't call them the EU. They go out of their way every single time, no matter how much or how little time they actually have to say the name before the next move is done in the ring, and they have to commentate on that. They always take their time in saying the European Union every single time.
This is a terrible idea. It harkens back to the League of Nations stable with Rusev, Wade Barrett, Cesaro, or not? No, Cesaro wasn't in it, was he? No, Sheamus.
I don't know.
Sheamus and Rusev, which, by the way, that stable I just listed off, that should be a great stable. That's a fantastic boy stable, and it was boring as shit. So there you go. In the end, Aleister Black pins Eichner after a Black Mass, which is expected. I mean, there was obviously one team that was going over here. That would be kind of the one downside of the match. It's a little bit of a predictable result, but we got some really cool stuff from Eichner, really cool stuff from Bartel. They gave Bartel some time on the mic as well, which helps. And of course, Aleister Black and Ricochet are Aleister Black and Ricochet. I mean, they're freaking amazing. And
this is true.
They work very well as a tag team. Stunningly well, I dare say.
It's almost as if they signed professionals and let them wrestle.
They had one of these training room promos that they like to run. Keith Lee's training with some guys. Danny Burch is there as well, and Dijak comes in to yell at him and scream at him. I'm not really a fan of these. There really hasn't been one that really does it for me, but I mean,
yeah,
I guess it brings it back to mind.
They seem to be very fond of doing them in NXT, and they haven't done one that's been good yet. It's always been some kind of cringy bully stuff where I think it's always a cringy bully spot. This was the only one that wasn't a full-on bully spot because the target wasn't intimidated, but it's always
it's Baszler fucking up.
Yeah,
Dakota
fucking
Kai.
with people. Or what's her name? With the yak stapled to her head.
Bianca Belair.
Yeah, Belair coming in and like snapping her stupid fucking clucky tongue at people and
it's also that
putting the
weird...
duh in undefeated.
It's kind of that weird thing we were talking about with the fake stuff. It's like you've got Keith Lee there clearly training with some of the newbies, and not in an MMA sense, really. More of a recital sense almost.
Yeah.
And then you try to interject this kind of real thing to it, which it's that kind of juxtaposition of fake and real, letting us behind the curtain, but then trying to make it into a storyline. It doesn't really work. Like, I'm not angry about it the way I am with, Triple H playing the "this is real" card, because that is ultimate in stupidity. But it just doesn't do anything. Like, it's one of these net zeros. It's like, what was the point of that? So, if there was if there wasn't a point, don't do it. If there was a point, it didn't work, so don't do it.
Yeah, I think what it is they're instead of just doing the fake MA in the ring, they're trying to fake MA backstage, and it's not working. It doesn't work in the ring because I don't want to go over this again, but I'm going to. We've all, in the last 30 years, seen a shit ton of MMA.
There's fake MA that works in the ring, but it's exceedingly rare, and it's very specific guys who can pull it off.
Yeah, guys with fucking training.
Possibly girls like Shayna Baszler, I'm sure could if you put her in there with the right girl. We haven't.
Yeah, but she's not doing it. Like, I saw her grab a hold of somebody's leg, just like to hook it, like almost like you're going to turn them over into a half grab, and they immediately started screaming as if it's the most painful hold in the world. Like, she just literally wrapped her arm around her calf.
That was just a weird oversell that relied on a lot of backstory of like knowing that Mia Yim had completely ruined her leg like 2 years ago or something. It was too much of a callback and not very well done.
Yeah, especially because they don't say anything about who Mia Yim actually is. It's just like, she's just another person on the show. But I think they're trying to do the fake MA thing backstage. And MMA doesn't do that backstage. There is no backstage unless you're at a press conference, and that's not backstage.
In MMA you don't see scuffles in the gym very often, and it's like, it's considered, like, when it does happen, it's considered to be like this black eye for the people involved.
Yeah.
So you don't really see it glamorized. Now you'll have backstage run-ins at events from guys that don't train together. The most recent example I can give you is Kamaru Usman and Ben Askren.
Mm-hmm.
And that hypes up with some people, and that that might even work for wrestling fans. But I mean the weird thing is that this one was particularly unnecessary, because like Dijak coming in and going, you want to go? I'm like, dude, you just had a double count out with this guy. Believe me, the rematch is coming.
Yeah, it's scripted.
It's not even that it's scripted. Like, if this were a non-scripted fight league, the rematch would still be coming.
Yeah.
Like when James Irvin and I want to say it was Babalu fell out of the cage. Like, we knew the rematch was coming here, guys. Like, there wasn't really any need to rehype this up, really. And this is the same thing. Like,
this didn't make any sense. It never makes sense when they do these things. It barely makes sense when they do backstage interviews, because none of these people have developed personalities. So nobody cares. The only person anybody cared about was Dakota Kai.
It works with a handful of people, and I think with Jeremy Borash working the backstage a lot more in NXT, I think we should see an improvement on that.
Well, I mean, he's been working there for a year now, hasn't he?
Yeah, but I think he's now been stepped up into a more significant role within the backstage ethos.
I don't know. I have no idea what his position was before or now.
Yeah, I mean, it takes time for someone to have an effect, unless you're like put directly into the head booker spot, all powerful.
Yeah.
And I think hopefully we'll start to see some of the fruits of Borash's labors, because we saw that with Borash doing his sit-down interview with Matt Riddle a little while ago.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, hopefully
those are usually all right, but the fake confrontation backstage, like,
no, let's get rid of that.
Yeah. And while we're at it, since you guys are pre-taping all this stuff, try and help the Japanese ladies out a bit, right? Let's do multiple takes. Let's get a really good, clear take. Help them along. It's, it'll be good for them.
I didn't mind the Io Shirai Kairi Sane package. I mean, there definitely is some rough stuff with the English, but I think it's almost endearing in a way. So.
Well, yeah, totally. Like I'm totally in favor of a little mistranslation and this, that, and the other. But if it very stilted all the time, little editing, guys, please come on, YouTube. Do watch any YouTube video. Do a little editing. This is the day and age of easy done editing and videography. Just get it done. You're professionals.
Our next match in the Dusty Cup, and it's just me, or should they not really call it the Dusty Cup? Like they should either go with the full name, or like the American Dream Cup, or something or the Rhodes Classic, or something.
Yeah, something. The Dusty Classic, the Rhodes Classic, the over the road and far away.
Dusty Cup just makes me think of like a really dusty trophy in the corner. Like
correct.
That's all there is to it.
Something you don't want to drink out of. That's basically what a Dusty Cup is.
Pretty much. This was Forgotten Sons versus Brit and Bruiser. This was a pretty good match. The two teams play off each other actually quite well, which I enjoyed. Not that that's surprising with Lorcan and Birch, but I've been kind of underwhelmed with the Forgotten Sons up until now. Like, I'd seen Cutler wrestle outside of NXT. It's not bad. It's nothing to write home about, but it's not bad. Blake is also not bad. I'm a pretty big fan of Jackson Riker, actually, so I'm hoping that this does end up launching him forward. But it was good to see them have a really, really good match here with a little bit of brutality to it, a little bit of stiffness that wasn't really in the other matches. It gave it an interesting feel. Not sure I'm loving the Forgotten Sons going over, because I do love my boys Lorcan and Birch.
Yeah, they keep burying those guys. I don't get it.
Yeah, they keep alternating push and burial with them, and it's very weird and confusing, frankly.
Yeah, that's not good. Well, I mean, it's not good throughout the company, and they do it throughout the company, so I don't know what I expect at NXT, but I do expect better from NXT because they seem to have people that actually give a shit, at least half the time.
And then we had this kind of weird, super telegraphed Velveteen Dream coming out to pose on the commentary table and cue the bro
word
to yeah, this got a little weird at the end, to be honest.
It got a little weird throughout. Like, he was clearly doing a very badly scripted intro to what was to come instead of... And they had the crowd start chanting speech. I'm like, he's got a microphone. He's going to do a promo. Is this everybody's first night in wrestling? Or, like, what the fuck is the deal here?
Yeah, the crowd sometimes does chant some really weird...
Well, I'm assuming they got like 3 plants in the building who got them to all chant speech.
Well, I also, like, my main problem here is you got a tag team sort of devoted show here. Like, there's no reason for the Dream to come out here.
No.
If you want to make this work, you have the Dream come out after Riddle's won or something, and then you build the match off of this. Because with this one, it's just... What is supposed to be the deal here again? We're kind of back to WWE 101 right here, where it's like, I don't really understand what your end goal is. I mean, I get, title match, Riddle versus Dream, and I'm all here for that. I'm very here for that. But the way you're going about it is weird.
Yeah, and the dumb hokey spotlights finger snap thing at the end, fuck, go away.
The only thing I did like is that, and this is more just like kind of a statement of fact, is that Matt Riddle's laid back character means that if he raises the intensity just like a little smidge, like one little octave, it has a massive effect that isn't true for anyone else, I think, in the business.
It is true. He has
maybe the Rascals in Impact could do something similar.
That is true. It's kind of the Snoop Dogg effect. If Snoop Dogg ever gets angry, boy, do you know you're in trouble.
Then we had the Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, Bianca Belair package. We're getting Shirai versus Belair. We got the undefeated shit. moving on. Street Profits versus Mustache Mountain. I'm mixed on the match. There were moments where I was very involved and it was very, very good. Mustache Mountain is a fantastic tag team. Street Profits is a tag team that I want to be good.
Yeah.
But isn't really there yet. And the only thing is they really are trying to amp up this like massive change in the Street Profits. And the change is basically that they're fucking around a little bit less. And they're working more kicks into their arsenal. Like, it's a really minor change for the big deal that they're trying to bring on. Now, they had that big deal when the Profits cut the promo that brought that brawl out with Lorcan and Bartel and Birch and Eichner and so on. And then the Era threw War Machine in there. That was an interesting change. But that hasn't really stayed. And it's kind of like the earlier on in the night with the Velveteen Dream doing the Dream Over thing. They keep like setting it up like, oh, this is supposed to mean something. This is supposed to be an evolution of the character, and then it's not. And I kind of think that this is the same deal they're going with the Street Profits right now, where it's like, we're going to tease you that there's some kind of evolution going to go on here, and then it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I still don't understand what the Dream Over thing is supposed to be, because I was talking about it when we were watching him do his promo shit, or just after he did the promo shit, because he just yelled randomly "Dream Over" into the microphone as they went to commercial, I think, and it still doesn't make any sense, because every time he brought it up, like the first 3 times I think he brought it up, he had just lost another big match on a pay-per-view, and he starts yelling "Dream Over" into the microphone, into the camera. Or on the interview next week on NXT, he starts dream overing at the lady backstage. And it's always something negative, but it's supposed to mean something positive, I get. I don't dream over, you're the Velveteen Dream. So dream over means your character's done. You're retiring the character? Or are you retiring from wrestling? Or are you quitting? What are you over with? Like, what... Are you
just stating that you're over?
I don't understand.
Because the follow-through on all of this has not been there.
No, none of it. But he keeps bringing it up as if it's supposed to be a good and empowering thing, but it's always at the end of a loss, and he's down and angry. And dream over, dream over, dream over. It doesn't make any sense.
To get back to the match at hand... there was a weird ending this one because Trent Seven's got, I think it was Dawkins up for a double team move with Bate, and it's sloppy, and Mustache Mountain is not very sloppy normally, and when they hit it, Seven yells, "Oh, my back!" and he still gets the pin, and he's selling the back afterwards. So I'm like, is this a work injury, or did he maybe legitimately fuck his back up a little bit?
Yeah, well, and it was right in, because their finishing move is the burning hammer knee drop, which is all the dangerous in the world. You don't just do a burning hammer, you get fired for doing a burning hammer. That's how dangerous that move is if you do it wrong. So he had, I think it was Dawkins. Dawkins is the fat one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he had Dawkins up on his back, and he just kind of slumped hard to his right, almost as if he was going to set Dawkins back down again, and then he just kind of powered it up a little bit more so that Buddy could hit the knee drop, and then into the finish. And then, yes, he screamed basically right into the camera, ow, my back, or fuck my back, or something like that, and then he was the legal man, so he had to roll over and do the pin. And then he sold it the whole way, whether it was real or not. So if this is supposed to be some sort of weird injury, I guess that's the time in the match to do it. So you win and you still look like not like you barely escaped, I guess. But I don't understand.
In general, I don't really understand a lot of what they do with Mustache Mountain. Then we had the final opening round match of the Dusty Rhodes Classic, the Undisputed Era versus Evil DIY. Bit weird that they went with this as the opening round match. I found that very strange.
Yes.
But it was fucking great. They come out to their own individual music, but Ciampa is like, kind of like, but I got something for this. And then the DIY music picks up. And they get really hyped, brings back all the memories. They really worked a really good match here with O'Reilly and with Fish. There was a very interesting move by Ciampa where he countered a leg sweep by Kyle O'Reilly with a flying knee to the face.
Yeah.
That was pretty nice. The MVP of this match was probably Kyle O'Reilly. He did some great work. I think they're still trying to use Bobby Fish a little bit sparingly after the knee injury. So O'Reilly worked the lion's share of the match. Although in fairness, I suppose I should say, even on the independents, Kyle O'Reilly did always work the lion's share of the match. Being just the younger wrestler. Fish is bizarrely old. And there was some great kickouts. Nothing that was like too New Japan-esque, which since I haven't used that term in a while, I'll explain it once again. It's when you get a near fall that really should be a fucking finish, and then the finish makes the near fall look much better. Or the near fall didn't add anything. I guess that would be the Kenny Omega Jay Driller spot, for example.
Yeah.
In the end, DIY hits the meet me in the middle knees and destroys Kyle O'Reilly. And they end up facing off a little bit with the War Raiders after the match. So it's a weird thing. Do you have Evil DIY win the cup? Now,
I don't see why.
I'm ignoring the Ciampa injury for the record here, because obviously you'd be coming up with this plan before that injury becomes a thing.
Yeah, well, here's my thought on that: is that they've deliberately done. They might have even rushed the DIY reunion because of the injury, because they wanted to get this done. So my theory is that they will have DIY lose before the final, and then Johnny, and then probably the kicker for that will be that Johnny turns on Ciampa, and then they set up a championship match for TakeOver.
I do like that scenario. That's a very solid scenario. I guess the one thing here is I'm still. It's a bit weird as to what is Ciampa's motive in getting the Evil DIY thing back together. That's something that intrigues me. I mean, there's some obvious options. It's been suggested it's a way to keep Gargano from going after his title, for example. And obviously it keeps anyone else from going after his title, because Regal can't book him in a match for TakeOver because he might be in the final. But we can obviously get around that by having Gargano turn on him.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Does he or is this like partially the good guy part of Ciampa getting through to try to help Gargano, but it's sick and twisted and weird and evil because of how evil he is?
No, I think this is just a Gargano. Like, remember, his wife's all pissed off, and he's like, "Trust me, I know what I'm doing." I think this is what I think this is what he means. It's like, we'll get he's far enough in the tournament, and then he'll turn on him. Yeah.
Bit weird that they sacrificed the Era through this, because your final four is now Aleister Black and Ricochet, which is a hodgepodge tag team, albeit a very good one. Forgotten Sons, Mustache Mountain, who may or may not have an injury to deal with, and then Evil DIY. So I guess Ricochet and Black to win the tournament?
I would assume, but who knows? Like, it depends on what McMahon wants, because they work on the main roster now.
Yeah, I just don't know who else you put over, though, because, I mean, we know that they're still probably punishing Mustache Mountain for the whole Tyler Bate thing, and the Forgotten Sons as Dusty Cup winners, that's
not happening.
I like the Sons, but that's not happening. That was the weird thing, because I expected the Street Profits to advance, because my initial pick, not because it's what I would do, but because it's what I thought they were going to do, was have the Street Profits win the whole thing. I'm happy that that's not the case.
Yeah, I don't know. Now, looking back on that match with the Street Profits they did kind of come out decked all out in their most ridiculous gear. So maybe that was their, well, I guess we're not going to get to wear this at the fucking takeover.
Could be correct. I really did think Mustache Mountain was going to do the job there. Happy they didn't. Moving on to the Impact Wrestling. This was a show that was not particularly good up until the main event. Would you particularly disagree with that characterization?
No. A lot of it was hokey, orchestrated. The Rich Swann Ethan Page match, that was a solid match. No problems, no issues there. Ethan Page is still kind of new to the business, so there are some things where he's very obviously setting himself up in a particular position in order to do a move. But I mean, that's no different than anybody else they got in WWE. They do the hokiest setup spots of all time, bar none.
My only problem with that match is that on the face of it, it didn't really make any sense. Like, my notes read, X Division champions out here. Is this a title match? No. And then I continue on, is like, if it is, why? Paige has been jobbed out to the Rascals recently. If it isn't, why are we having a non-title match? So that would be my only gripe on the matter. Is I would have substituted Ethan Page out there for a worthwhile contender for the title, have it be a title match, and then do everything that came afterwards.
Yeah. The only problem is there's no reason for Ethan Page to have had a title match, and they don't have anybody else on the roster that's earned a title match.
Trey Miguel.
Yeah, fair enough.
That would be my pick. I mean, he didn't have a match on this thing, so there you go. It wouldn't have been the most compelling thing in the world, but like, we are talking about Page, who I think is on like a 5-match losing streak or something. So, like,
he's
him getting a title shot makes zero sense. Whereas at least
he's the indie Kurt Hawkins
something. Yeah, kinda. It's not at that level yet, though. Yeah, I mean, it was a good match. The one thing I did notice here is that Ethan Page sells Rich Swann's kicks more than Swann sells his kicks, which is a bit weird to consider the weight differential and power differential between these two men.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the difference in experience, and also Rich Swann's really never been good at selling for other people, and his timing's always been just a bit off.
In the end, Swann goes over because he has to. There's no way you put Ethan Page over in this match.
Yeah.
OVE comes out to, offer him the shirt again. He goes to throw it away, and Sammy's like, no, family is everything. Even if family fights, it is everything. They hug. Rich puts the shirt on, and then super kicks Sammy in the back of the head and hits a double stunner on the Chris.
Yep.
So I was happy with that. That was good. We had a quick thing with LAX and Conan. Nothing new here, other than it was a way to announce that the Lucha Bros were facing the Rascals tonight.
Yeah, they could have just flashed a graphic up on the screen.
We had Rolando Menendez, which I finally have gotten the name, I believe, of.
I believe it's actually Roland Meningitis.
That would be a better name. He's, investigative reporter trying to interview Cage last week. It's shooed away by the medics and the refs. We had the weirdest debut jobber match that I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was like the jobber got over better than your big debut, son of a gun.
It's not that I thought anything Ace Austin did was especially bad. There was one really, really choreographed spot, but it's like you put him out there with a jobber, and I don't know, we didn't even pick up the guy's first name, but the last name, Jake Atlas, is that the name?
Yep.
Okay, so Jake Atlas, who I don't know from a hole in the wall. He's a jobber. And you have a really, really competitive match on Ace Austin, who's been kind of your hyped up big addition to the X division for like a while. And you need some new blood in the X Division, because we just talked about the general lack of actual title contenders for Rich Swan's title.
Yep.
And you have him have a really competitive match with a jobber.
And the jobber hit Murphy's Law better than Buddy Murphy did.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do this, why not use someone more a mainstay on the roster?
Yeah.
It was like super competitive and a bit repetitive. Like Ace Austin's offense is kind of repetitive. The running blockbuster is kind of cool, but
I see 3 of those a fucking match.
As a finisher, it's a bit like, if that's going to be the big coup de grace in your game, I think that's going to be a bit weak.
Yeah, I mean, watch any New Japan card, you'll see 3 of those minimum. It's not a finisher; it's barely a setup.
And then we go back to Mr. Rolando Menendez, who's got an interview with the Impacts, Taya and Johnny. Impact says he did let Bryan down, but injuries happen. Cage should know that. They talk about neck fusion. They talk about how Johnny will defend against Cage. So, yeah, nothing here really works. Because if you're talking about neck fusion, you should not be then giving a title shot. Like, I'm sorry.
Correct.
In this time frame, that idea does not work. It does not fly.
No, if you're having neck fusion surgery, you're out of commission for over a year. End of story.
Mm-hmm. And it was super awkward too, which didn't help.
Yeah, well, this was very badly done on every level. The Rolly Meningitis did really shitty pre-taped questions or accusations. They weren't really even questions. And his characters already jumped the shark. Like, it was kind of funny when they had the very first episode he was on, kind of funny. In the second episode, kind of funnier, and now it's just gone. Like, just don't anymore. No. It's kind of like, actually, I don't know if you've been watching the Being the Elite videos.
Yes, I have.
MJF, fire him. I'm tired of it. It was funny the first 2 times.
He's got to develop a second note to the character.
Any notes would be good. He's just reciting cue cards, I think.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, Menendez, someone powerbomb him or something and get him off my TV. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, when Cage went to get angry at him, I was like, oh, cool, they're going to have at least something somewhere. Nothing. Like, the guy wasn't even scared. He didn't do anything. There was no reaction. He just kind of dead-faced the whole situation.
Well, the other problem was, even with, like, to skip ahead to the Cage bit with him, it was that, like, he's like, did you see what the Impact said in their interview? I'm like, it's going to be on the show.
No.
And there's nothing inflammatory there.
Not at all.
It's Johnny saying that I'm going to have neck fusion surgery and still give you a title match. Like, if anything, you should be like, thank you, Johnny. That's exceedingly manly of you.
Yeah, there was the only thing that went through my mind is like, oh, did he do like a quick edit job?
Yeah, that was
or something. And no, it was just literally like a second and a half of shit we just heard the guy say, and move on with your life.
Yeah. We got a Reno Scum promo, very Road Warriors.
Yeah.
Talking about, basically, we're getting the return match with Fallah Bahh and KM, and I'm looking forward to it.
Balla Balla Wood.
Then we got super cringeworthy. Super cringeworthy. Alicia Edwards came out to thank Impact Wrestling for showing that anything is possible. I'm not really sure what the anything is possible thing is. They gave a hot chick a chance to wrestle.
And it wasn't very good.
Wrestling companies have been doing that for a long time, including Impact Wrestling and GFW. So, yeah, kind of lost me at that point. She talked about how her contract is expiring this month, and that basically maybe it's time to start up a family. And the Desi Hit Squad came out here for, I have written here, reasons, and then ... foreign woman haters. Gotcha.
Yeah. This whole thing was a shit. This has not been anything that's going to get anybody any heat since like 2001. This is... Why don't you just pull up in your Studebaker with your starched collar and your cigarette and take a hit off of your hip flask, go into your nice suburban home in your wingtip shoes, and fold the paper aggressively at the wife. Like, why not just pull some shit straight out of the 50s? This is the dumbest thing.
The thing is, the premise isn't even necessarily the problem. The problem here is that, to make a long story short, this was here for Eddie Edwards to come out, get his ass kicked a bit, and Eli Drake to make the save. And, okay, so this is playing into the Eddie Edwards is going to tag with Eli Drake. They're going to go up against the Desi Hit Squad. So the problems here is that you've mixed this whole female-male dynamic into this with no payoff, because Alicia Edwards is not going to wrestle the Desi Hit Squad.
Correct.
Or if she does, I mean, we've already seen her cane the shit out of Moose. Like,
yeah.
There's nothing. There's nothing new here. What's she gonna do? Is she gonna, like, she slapped Gamma Singh here? Is she gonna come out and hit Gamma Singh with a kendo stick? Like that? I don't need that. I don't know.
Well, the only thing they could have done is have her just like pretend to be intimidated, roll out of the ring, grab a kendo stick, and then fucking whack the shit out of people.
Yeah, but we've seen it. It's not new, and you're just basically go. And the other thing is you got, and this is the problem with the Desi Hit Squad. Just full stop here. They're not menacing. They keep losing.
Yeah,
repetitively. They are the job tag team. They job out to the Rascals. They job out to Falaba and KM. They job out to who was it that they jobbed out before that? They've jobbed to every face tag team on the roster, I think. And
you're probably not wrong.
I have no reason to take these guys seriously. Zero reason. Maybe there was, like, once upon a time, but it's gone. And yeah, I mean, they make a decent spot here for Eli Drake and Eddie Edwards to debut as a tag team. I guess. But they're
they're gonna job out there too. We're seeing it coming a week ahead of time, guys.
But you want to set this up fine, but there had to be a better way and a less cliche way of doing this.
Yeah.
And especially because we're going to have another basically misogynistic scene later on.
Yeah, what the fuck? This was like the night of doubles. We had... Didn't somebody...
Actually,
Moose hit on...
Yeah, Moose hit on Melissa, which,
and then didn't somebody else hit on Melissa later? Or maybe not. But then Ace Austin did the same move twice in one match. Now we're going to do double misogyny spots for no reason. Mm-hmm. You're just going to become like, is that the goal? Is to have your company known as the misogyny company? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, the middle of the show is really not good. We had the Menendez cage scene that we talked about already. We gave our thoughts on that. Then we had the Edwardses arguing about the future. Basically, Eddie not super happy that maybe his wife went out there to announce her retirement without telling him.
Yeah, seems reasonable.
Then Eli comes in. Eddie was like, "Thank you, but I don't want to tag team." And then Eli's like, "I don't want you to thank you. I just want us to, there's something here. We're gonna go for some tag team gold." And Alicia has the bit of a freak out, like, "No one wants to be your partner, Eddie. You don't listen to me. You're not going to listen to him. I don't even know why anyone wants to be your partner anymore. I don't know why Eli wants to be your partner, but there seems to be something here." And then Eli is like, "All right, well, those fuckers basically tried to put hands on your woman. They put boots to you. I would like to have a match with the Desi Hit Squad. I can take care of that. And if we win, we pursue this. If we lose, you know what? Don't have to say anything else about it." And I'm really enjoying Eli Drake in this feud. I just, wish there was a way to introduce the Desi Hit Squad as their first victims that was better.
Yeah. Good in any way, shape, or form would have been, at least tolerable would have been good, right?
Mm-hmm. Then we had the Moose and Cross with Melissa interview, which I really enjoyed Cross during. Once again, I enjoyed Moose during, actually. This tandem really works.
Moose was very much more succinct in his shenanigans, and not weirdly, like, he usually has about 30% extra blather to his stuff, which I don't get. Maybe it works when he was a face, and maybe he's learning that as a heel you just don't need to. I don't know what it is.
I think it's more that when you're in a scene with Cross, you don't need to.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was pretty fun. Moose is hitting on Melissa, being, he's like, oh, you look very beautiful this evening, which is 100% true.
Understatement, thank you.
And he's like, I've got I don't remember the designer's name. I'm sorry. I don't know design.
Jean-Paul Gaultier.
There we go, Jean-Paul Gaultier. He's like, I got my custom jacket. And Killer Cross, who is, at various points insulted Moose's fashion sense, depending on it, is like, yes, I love the jacket. You're on the cutting edge of fashion, my friend. And he cuts a promo. Basically, it's like, either we get our title shot or we're going to keep sending Johnny to the hospital. And they head out to enjoy a steakhouse. And Moose invites Melissa as his date, and she basically tells him to fuck off. So there you go.
Indeed.
Then we had the Rascals doing a little thing where they've got some masks, and Dez has this, like, my master plan is we get the masks, we get powers, and then we get wins. And
solid plan.
Yeah, they roast Moose's jacket for a little bit, and then it's like, all right, we're not going to do the mask, we're just going to do the finger thing. Okay. They're facing off with the Lucha Bros later on tonight. Another low point of the whole thing was the Su Yung, Allie, and the Undead Maid of Honor with James Mitchell versus Kiera Hogan, Jordan Grace, and Rosemary. It's not necessarily that there was anything wrong with this match. It's that
there's no reason to give a shit.
You've been building this up as the Dark War for a bit. And the match has no special rules. There's some funky lighting going on, but that's really about it. Kiera Hogan and Jordan Grace are not 1 ounce different with their characters at all. And it was there. The Maid of Honor ate the pin, and Rosemary got to put a leash and collar on Allie.
Yeah, gee, wow, the one character without a name ate the pin, huh? Weird.
Mm-hmm. I think that was a new Undead Maid of Honor as well, so, there you go.
I have no idea.
Conan, actually one of the highlights of the night. Disco Inferno is doing his thing where he's walking around backstage trying to find Don Callis and runs into Conan, and Conan's like bigging him up. He's gassing up. He's making him feel all good. He's like, he's right in there. Go in there. And he's runs into a guy with bald head, sitting with his back to the door. Starts talking about, I can't beat up most people, but I can beat up you bald fuck. And he's like, thinking it's Don Callis, which is weird because Don Callis has hair, but okay. And then Killer Cross gets up and he's like, oh God, no, not you. And then the lights go out. He gets beat up. And then he's wandering around hearing people. You get a Vinny Rue thing. He thinks he sees Double J, Jeff Jarrett. He thinks he sees the AEW crew. That was pretty hilarious. And then he finally finds Scott D'Amore. D'Amore is like, do you not watch the show? Don Callis is on commentary. And Glenn's like, oh, I'm supposed to go join him on commentary there. And Scott's like, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. So he joins on commentary, and he's basically there for Scarlett Bordeaux's thing.
Yeah, this was billed for like 3 weeks now as her like debut wrestling match, and she comes out in heels and like a leather catsuit. You're not wrestling in that.
Yeah, it started off reasonably well because she explained why she didn't pick any of the videos for her talent because they couldn't focus and they were falling all over themselves. I like that. There was a certain level of like logic and realism to that. But then it just basically became like, Glenn Gilberti was the least promising of them all, and Glenn gets in the ring and buries women's wrestling. She slaps him for being a misogynist. She's like, all my life, men have been like you've been trying to tell me what to wear and how to act, and my immediate thought was like, Glenn Gilberti has a massive raging boner for you. So if men like him have been telling you what to do, you've been doing it.
Correct.
Anyways, he accepts her challenge. If she, go home for a week and basically, be a lady. If she still wants some, she can come back and get some. This is apparently happening in 3 weeks. She says she's going to make him her bitch.
I already super don't care.
I don't care. I don't have a problem with intergender wrestling. Scarlett Bordeaux is actually not a bad wrestler, but no, she's just the wrong person to have in this whole section, frankly.
Yeah, I thought she was going to start a faction of some sort. She's just going to get... So this is the end of her push. She's going to beat up Glenn Gilberti, and then it's... What are they going to do with her then? Have her wrestle they're going to have her wrestle Blanchard? I don't think so.
It's not exactly a match that's getting me hyped up, nor would a match with Taya.
No.
And there's not really any other women in that division, to be honest. I mean, you've got Kiera Hogan. He's kind of a developing talent. Jordan Grace is developing talent. Not really in any way interested in seeing her with Rosemary. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to bury her. I think, actually, there's a lot you can do with Scarlett. But based on the talent that you currently have, it's not really the time to make her a wrestler. And it certainly is a bit of a weird thing to just basically have this set up for her debut to be against Glenn Gilberti and constantly pushing it back and back and back. I guess they're not pushing it back, but it's like next week we're in Vegas and Scarlett Bordeaux is going to be making her debut in Vegas. And it's like, okay, well, we've been here for 2 or 3 shows now and she still hasn't made her wrestling debut. So...
Yeah, and I mean, you said Kiera Hogan, and they just did that whole full fleshed out storyline with Kiera Hogan and Allie and Jordan Grace and Rosemary, and you gonna insert some random booty shaking lady into this? What's the fucking point? Why would you do it? Is she gonna have a romantic angle with somebody? Is she going... none of it makes any sense. She's clearly a manager. And it was probably going to be exceptionally good at that. So what the fuck are you guys doing? And why did we have 2 misogyny spots in one goddamn show?
You could argue we even have 3 with Moose and Melissa's thing.
That's true. I don't know. That's not really misogyny.
Not really, no.
He's just an idiot.
But you could construe it as such, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess. If you're of that mindset.
Yeah, and then we have Rosemary backstage leading Allie around on the leash. Jordan and Kiera are like, what's next? And she basically, tells him to step off because that was the deal.
Step off, girlfriend.
And then Kiera is like, no, I'm not done. I'm here to see it to the end. I'm like, you agreed. You're going back on your word. So, like, you're trying to make me root for the face who already is reneged on their word. Great. Good work.
Yeah.
Tessa had an interview with Melissa. Melissa saying, you got a number 1 contenders match with Jordan Grace. Looking forward to that. And, we just kind of get a rant about how she should have never lost the title and Gail Kim is a bitch.
Correct. What happened to... listen, I know you can't have everybody on every fucking show every week, which is what WWE makes the big mistake doing. Even though they... bury quality talent and never put them on TV. Anyway, but what happened with Delilah Doom? Should we have something going on with her? They gave her a big ass debut, and then they gave her a big ass second match.
I can kind of deal with her not being on for a week. Now if she's missing next week, then I'm worried.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Did they not have any plans? They're like, oh shit, she's over. Already,
I think
what the fuck?
I think unfortunately they kind of hit the wall, much like they're kind of hitting with Scarlett Bordeaux. I think in a way, it's like we don't really actually have a women's division. Really, we have kind of the Dark World, Allie, Rosemary, Su Yung side of things, and then we have Tessa feuding with Taya, and then we have like just some leftovers, like Alicia Edwards, who's really just a prop for Eddie's feuds, and Delilah Doom and Scarlett Bordeaux, and not really sure how to make anything really work here.
What they should do is sign that blonde chick that used to hang around with Joey Ryan all the time.
Yeah. Then we had the main event, the Rascals, Dez and Wentz in this case, tagging up against the Lucha Brothers. This was a match that I have no complaints about, aside from the fact that it appears to have been non-title. So, 2 champion belts wrestling on the show with no belt on the line.
Yeah, I don't
Fantastic.
get that.
Mind you, this one I kind of saw coming because, of course, you got Conan racing around in the back trying to get, a rematch for LAX for the belts. So, kind of unlikely the Rascals would get the title shot. But you know what? I think this match did everything you'd want it to do. It showed off the Rascals' strengths. It showed off the Lucha Brothers' strengths. It kept the Rascals strong. If you want to revisit this as a title feud, I think you can, and it wouldn't take really a lot of effort. You just have to give the Rascals, like 2 wins. Boom, they're right back there again. Mind you, you got Eli Drake and Eddie Edwards, who probably are headed to a title shot at some point. Like I theorize that they win the titles. I think is my
anything's possible.
So I don't really know. So that that complicates things a little bit. At the end, Lucha Brothers go over because they have to, and then they run into Conan backstage, and they're like, tell your boys to not fuck with the masks. And Conan's talking about rematch, etc. And basically Pentagon more or less agrees to a rematch, but says it's too soon. Which is weird because they're facing off with the Rascals, so it's not like they, have injuries to heal up or something. And, Conan just demands a date. I fully expected LAX to attack at some point, and they did not. So
correct. Well, there's still a little speculation as to whether Phoenix is injured or not, and of course, none of this matters because they've already booked the tag team champions to be on the April pay-per-view. So. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Impact. I swear there's got to be something in the water over there at Impact. And I'm aware that they've moved locations and shit, so even that doesn't work. But, like, this company is just cursed to be making nonsensical decisions at all times.
WWE does the same thing. Like, they've already booked fucking WrestleMania.
Yeah, but WWE has the advantage of being a massively profitable company. Not a good product by any means, but at least a massively profitable company. So you can look at the spreadsheets and go, man, are we making a lot of money, and man, do we not have to fucking try in any way, shape, or form here. Impact is a company that's been, if we're being honest, on the verge of death at a number of points, shrinking in importance to the point where legitimately it feels like an indie now. Like, at least even when Vince Russo was booking the thing, it felt like a big deal, even if the storylines didn't necessarily make sense and the content was pretty bad. But you look at Impact Wrestling now, it feels like an indie, and you've got Don Callis and Scott D'Amore, who I have immense amount of respect for, and they've done some very good things. But there still seems to be just a creative bankruptcy in the company, and I have no way of explaining it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not like they're doing bad things, it's just that the occasional extreme weird, like, why did you book that? That don't make no sense.
That was like this entire episode, though.
Yeah, I was like, we're going to have 2 non-title matches, 2 misogyny spots. We're going to have Melissa Santos get hit on twice. We're going to have Glenn Gilberti do 2 different fucking spots. What else was there 2 of? I can't remember.
Ace Austin's double using the same move.
Yeah.
Over again.
We had two theoretical debuts that, of course, one of them didn't happen.
Like, I mean, you look at the storylines of this show, and okay, I'll give a thumbs up to the Rich Swann OVE stuff, well executed, but a thumbs down to the fact that Rich Swann's having a match with Ethan Page. Bad use of your champion. I've got a thumbs kind of in the middle for the LAX and Lucha Bros stuff. It would be an up if it wasn't for the fact that Phoenix might be hurt, and you may be promising now what you can't actually deliver. The Menendez stuff gets a thumbs through the fucking floor. The Ace Austin competitive jobber match to open up his thumbs down.
Honestly, the jobber stole the show on that one.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know why they thought giving the El Fantasmo magician gimmick from the WWE 80s or was it the 90s? I don't even know. I think it was early 90s.
Late 80s, early 90s.
And they gave it to some emo kid who literally just reaches into his sleeve and pulls a card out. He has got the collapsing cane, as if anybody's going to not cringe at that. It does shitty versions of the Rascals moves, which are not quite as good versions of other luchadors moves, even though I really like the Rascals, so I'm not trying to knock them. But why would you put him in the ring against somebody as good as that and not tell them to book it a certain way?
Yeah. I mean, I like the Reno Scum promo, but that was like a whopping 1 minute.
Yep.
Thumb down to the double misogyny spot because I didn't like either of them. Thumbs up to Eli Drake and Eddie Edwards, but thumbs down to the lead up to it. Thumbs up to Moose and Cross. Thumbs up to the stuff with the Rascals. And thumbs down to the Dark War, which was really, really, really underwhelming. So,
yeah, it's just a 6-person tag with a red light on instead of the house lights. Whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of, yeah. I don't know. I think on that downer note, we're probably done for the week.
Oh dear God! Traffic and headbutt a car.
Probably not. Not that down.
Probably not that down. No.
Hopefully next week is a little bit better. We look forward to the Dusty Classic continuing. I am looking forward to seeing what Io Shirai can do with Bianca Belair in a match. That could be fun. And
I don't think it's going to be fun.
And of course, New Japan's Cup is going on right now.
The New Japan Cup. If you lose, you have to take off some clothing.
No one wants to see that if I'm involved in that cup.
Whoa.
All right. Have a good night, everybody, and get off of Byron's lawn.